It was just past 11:30 p.m. on a quiet Tuesday in our sleepy suburban neighborhood when a commotion jolted me awake. From my bedroom window, I saw a figure sprawled across my front lawn, a pair of garden shears glinting in the moonlight beside her. She was muttering incoherently about sacred energy and disrupted serenity. That figure was none other than Linda Harper, our self-appointed neighborhood overlord and HOA president, now lying flat, dazed under the glow of the very porch light she'd tried to sabotage. Sparks flickered around the fixture, and Linda's hair looked like she'd just wrestled with a lightning bolt. How did we get here? Let me take you back to the beginning of this absurd saga. 3 weeks earlier, I'd installed a new LED porch light at my home in Willow Creek, a tidy little community in suburban Ohio. I'm a software engineer working remotely, and I wanted something practical bright enough to light my front steps for late-night deliveries or evening strolls with my dog. The light was energy efficient, angled downward to avoid glare, and fully compliant with city codes. It was, by all accounts, a non-issue. Or so I thought. Enter Linda Harper, a 52-year-old woman with a razor-sharp brunette bob and a smile that could curdle milk. As HOA president, Linda fancied herself the unofficial mayor of Willow Creek. Her white SUV, plastered with bumper stickers about community unity and green living, was a constant presence, prowling the streets for violations of her unwritten aesthetic code. She'd once fined a neighbor for planting tulips that were too red. Linda was the kind of person who thrived on control, and my new porch light was about to become her personal crusade. The trouble began 48 hours after I installed the light. I was sipping my morning coffee when a sharp knock interrupted my peace. There stood Linda, clipboard in hand, dressed in a navy blazer that screamed corporate retreat. With a tone that dripped with faux courtesy, she informed me that my porch light was disrupting the neighborhood's ambience. Apparently, its glow was visible from her backyard, where she conducted her nightly meditation sessions. She claimed it was interfering with her spiritual alignment with the cosmos. I politely explained that the light met all HOA and city regulations, even offering to show her the permits. Linda's smile tightened, and she suggested I consider the feelings of the community before making such drastic changes. Over the next week, Linda's campaign against my light escalated with the fervor of a zealot. First came an official HOA violation notice, citing a vague rule about excessive illumination that I was certain she'd fabricated. Then, passive-aggressive notes started appearing in my mailbox. One gem began, as someone who values harmony, and ended with a plea to remove the light because it was misaligning my chakras. By week 2, Linda started showing up at my door around 10 p.m., gesturing wildly at the light and ranting about how its harsh energy was ruining her carefully curated meditation garden. I began to suspect she had too much time on her hands and not enough hobbies. In a bid for peace, I adjusted the light's angle, installed a dimmer switch to cut the brightness by 30%, and swapped the bulb for a warmer tone. When I showed Linda the changes, she inspected them with the intensity of a health inspector at a greasy diner, then declared them insufficient. The light, she insisted, was still projecting negative vibrations into her sacred space. I was starting to lose patience. Things took a darker turn during our 5th doorstep confrontation. Linda's veneer of neighborly concern cracked as she warned me that if I didn't resolve the light issue, she'd handle it herself. Her smile sent a chill down my spine, and when I pressed for clarification, she said, "You'll see soon enough." The next evening, I caught her standing in her front yard, arms crossed, staring at my porch light for a solid 20 minutes. She shook her head dramatically, as if the light were personally offending her ancestors. When I waved from my window, she scurried inside but kept peeking through her curtains for another hour. 2 nights later, I was jolted awake by strange scraping sounds outside. Grabbing a flashlight, I crept to the front door. Everything seemed normal, but the next morning, I found scuff marks around the light fixture and tool scratches on the electrical housing. More alarming were footprints in my flower bed, leading straight across the street to Linda's house. Instead of confronting her directly, I called in a favor from an electrician friend. We installed a discreet security camera with night vision and reinforced the light's wiring with a safety system designed to deliver a mild shock to anyone tampering with it. Nothing dangerous, just enough to startle. The camera paid off the very next night. At 11:15 p.m., my phone pinged with a motion alert. I watched, jaw dropped, as Linda crept across the street in dark sweatpants and a hoodie, clutching heavy-duty garden shears. She muttered to herself about restoring cosmic balance and protecting my spiritual sanctuary from technological evil. With the confidence of someone who thought they were invisible, she raised the shears and aimed for what she believed was an exposed wire. The safety system kicked in, sending a controlled jolt through the shears. Linda yelped, dropped the tool, and stumbled backward, landing in a heap on my lawn. The motion-activated security lights snapped on, bathing her in a spotlight as she lay there, dazed, grass stains smudging her outfit. The porch light, unscathed, shone serenely above her. Neighbors, drawn by the noise, began poking their heads out. Mrs. Jenkins from next door asked if Linda needed a doctor. Flustered, Linda scrambled to her feet, brushing off dirt and claiming she was checking on an electrical hazard during her evening walk. The security footage told a different story. The next morning, I compiled the video and called an emergency HOA meeting. As the board watched Linda's nocturnal mission, their reactions ranged from stunned silence to stifled laughter. Linda tried to spin it, claiming she was protecting the neighborhood from a safety risk, but her mutterings about cosmic energy and meditation disruption on the tape undermined her defense. The board voted unanimously to remove her as president, issued me a formal apology, and confirmed my light was fully compliant. The legal fallout was swift. The police charged Linda with attempted vandalism and trespassing, slapping her with $800 in fines and a court-ordered anger management course. In court, she launched into a rambling explanation about how my light was disrupting her chakras and interfering with her spiritual practice. The judge in courtroom stared in bewildered silence as she dug herself deeper, her face flushing crimson as she realized how unhinged she sounded. Linda's reign of terror was over. She became the neighborhood's cautionary tale, her SUV no longer prowling our streets. My porch light still shines, a quiet reminder that sometimes standing your ground pays off. But this story raises bigger questions about power, control, and what happens when personal obsessions spiral into chaos. Have you ever dealt with a neighbor like Linda, or faced someone who tried to impose their will on you? How far is too far when it comes to defending your peace or your property? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss where the line is between standing up for yourself and crossing into injustice or even violence. Your perspective matters. Drop it below and keep this conversation going.